Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. So today we are going to compare two tanks that used to be one tank, and then they dropped it from a tier, I believe it was tier 6 down to a tier 5 and split the tree into two, to a KV1 and a KV1-S. A lot of people recently have asked me, which one is better for, lower tier, what gun's better. When it comes to the gun, I always say, whatever you prefer. Do you like a derpy gun that you could possibly one-shot somebody, but you got a longer load time? There's no guarantee that you'll one-shot somebody, but you could. Or do you like a gun that's got a little bit better, well, not a little bit, it's actually got a lot better penetration, and you're more guaranteed to do damage because of the better penetration, but you're only, your max is about 160 average damage, I think it is. I've got these set up pretty much identical. The crews are almost identical in everything. The KV1, I did have a lot more matches in it, so I looked at the crew, and I must have moved crews around because the crews are almost identical. But anyway, so just to compare them, we'll go over this kind of quick. Average damage per shot is 450. They both have the derp guns on these. I don't have the 85 millimeter. I went with the derp gun on both these. Average penetration is 61 for that's your HE shell. It's 140 for your heat shell. Rate of fire is a little bit quicker on your KV1 at 6.51 and 6.13 on the KV1-S. I prefer the KV1-S, I think, because both of them are heavies, but the KV1-S has a bigger engine and you can maneuver around the battlefield a lot quicker. Reload time, we went over that. Gun traverse is faster on the KV1-S at 29.87. The KV1's no slouch, though. It's still pretty fast at 26.73. So you get a little bit better gun depression with the KV1 at -7, and you only get -5 with the KV1-S. You get plus 25 with the KV1 and plus 20 with the KV1-S. So the gun elevation and depression is better on the KV1. Aim time is better on the KV1, not by a whole lot. 2.37 seconds on the KV1, 2.47 seconds on the KV1-S. Dispersion is actually substantially better on the KV1 at 0.51 and is 0.54 on the KV1-S. You'll see when I take a couple shots with the KV1-S on an open map, even you got to lead them substantially, lead them a lot in order to hopefully hit them. These two with the derp guns they're definitely not made for city fighting, close up and personal. You can make long distance shots, which you'll see that I do in the KV1-S, but your chances are definitely better if you are city fighting. Average damage per minute in the KV1 is 29.31, and it's in the KV1-S is 27.59, and obviously that's because of the faster reload in the KV1. Hit points in the KV1 is 640, and the KV1-S is 660. So you get 20 extra hit points with the KV1-S. Armor on the turret are pretty close. On the hull on the KV1 it's 75 all the way around except for the rear at 70, and on the KV1-S it's 75 in the front, 60 on the side, 60 in the rear. The hull of the KV1 is actually a lot better at 110 all the way around, and it's only 82 all the way around on the KV1-S. So you want to definitely try and hide your hull on the KV1-S. They are shaped pretty much identical. They've got some pretty good slope except for the front, and I'll show you real quick after we do this. The front, there's just a big flat spot. The turret on the KV1-S I seem to like and have better luck with, and I think it's because the KV1 has a lot more flatter gun mantle and stuff there, but we'll go over that here in a little bit too. Weight limit, the KV1 is a 55.8 ton, and quite a bit, it's quite a bit heavier than the KV1-S, which is 48.2 ton. Engine power on the KV1-S is better at 600, and it's 100 horsepower more than the KV1. Specific power to weight, you can see it's not a huge difference, but that KV1's got 10.6 and the KV1S got 13.44. And the speed difference is really, I think, why I like the KV1S more, because your top speed in the KV1S is 43 forward and 11 in reverse, and it's only 34 forward and 10 in reverse in the KV1. Traverse speed is 22.28 on the KV1, and the KV1S is 32. Again, it boils down to the engine power and the horsepower per ton. That's why you got a better traverse speed. Concealment looks like the KV1 is 16.3 and the KV1S is 9.87. And that might be because I think I got a camo net set up on the KV1, or a camo perk on a couple of the crew members on the KV1. Spotting is 330 on the KV1 and 355 on the KV1S, so neither of them really, they're heavy tanks. What do you expect? And the radio range is 490 on the KV1 and 469 on the KV1S. So if you want to hold on, we will have a couple matches, one in the KV1S with its results and one in the KV1 and its results. So if you want to hold on, I'll be right back. Alrighty, so here we are in the KV1S. This is Provoca, right? Provoca. I can't pronounce this one. And you can see up here, I was having, turn that down so you can actually hear me. I was having some ping issues in both this match and the next match. So if you, if you ever see the tank doing some goofy stuff, you can see the turning red right there on your lag meter. The ping does go down, but when you get that red dot like that, it'll shoot back up, and sometimes it'll make you do some funky stuff. You might see the turret twinging, going, like twing, 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 or the tank will just do whatever it wants to do. It's just sometimes I get into some of these truck stops. I'm using my own adapter because I've got unlimited data and whatnot. But if you get a truck park, I've got an antenna that goes up to the top of the truck, specifically for a Wii Boost. It's a mobile booster for my cell signal. If I get a semi-truck parked really close to me, or their trailer is next to me, sometimes it'll kind of block that, and that will hinder my good connection. You can see that this is definitely a derp gun. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. That 14 TP was nice enough to stay right there. And we hit him for all his health and take him out. Actually, he might have got hit by something else. We get reloaded here. And you can see how much I'm leading these targets. We hit the T80 for 328, finish him off. SAV, I don't know where that shot went. I really don't. From this distance, it might have just completely missed. This gun is really not made for, lucky I didn't pull the trigger because I would have killed him. This gun is definitely not made for distance shooting. I wasn't getting really any good shots at targets that were close by, so I figured, okay, well, I'll start moving forward. The B1, we got a nice solid green, hit him and take him out for 268. And what I intended to do here was try and push forward as fast as I could, and let the guys know here in a second. I start hitting 5, help, thinking that we've got, look at this, let me just pause it real quick. We've got a heavy, medium, 2 lights, a tank destroyer, and a light. For one, these lights should be trying to get up here in the bush area to light this stuff ahead of us, but they're not. None of these guys, just, you'll see. I couldn't get anybody on my team to, that might be too big. We'll leave it there. I couldn't get anybody on my team to, push up with me here. I thought, hey, as soon as I go shooting by these guys, they would move up. The Hetzer was actually kind of moving up, but the light tanks and whatnot, they were kind of just sitting there. And I'm yelling help, and then I start getting hit by the, I got hit by a Wolverine there, and then the artillery starts hitting me, and it looks like Wolverine's shooting HE shells, But you can see close range on this thing. Oh yeah, it just melts stuff. He only had 16 hit points left there. But yeah, so those two tank destroyers right there that were just nailing me because I'm 25 feet away from them, but I couldn't spot them in my heavy tank, whereas the light tank up here, that if they would have been with me, or this light tank here, or this light tank here, or this medium, they've got a spotting range and they could have spotted them and I probably would have not died there. But anyways, yeah, so you can see the lead that we have right now, 9-4, and the team goes on to miserably lose this. I'm not even gonna torture you and play the rest of the match because it's just, you'll cringe the whole match. It's just not even worth the pain and suffering to put you through it. But yeah, so if you want to hold on for a minute, I'll show you the post-game stats of this joke of a match. I ended up getting 5 kills, and I mean, look at this. Their team is like over half gone, and you figure they've got 2 artilleries, so really they've got 4 tanks taking on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 9 tanks, 2 artillery, and they completely lose. So, but again, it's low tier, and that's what you got to expect. You know, things go from good to bad like that. Ooh, listen to that. Ooh, snappy, snappy. So, if you want to hold on for a minute, I'll be right back. Some post-game stats. Alrighty, so here's the results of that match. Unfortunately, when you get into lower tiers, you have a lot of new players, and that was obvious. Using XVM, you could see we had several players, actually a couple players on our team that had, I think it's under 100 battles or under 50 battles, when it doesn't even show their statistics. It's just white dot lines across by their name. And then we had a lot of cherry players, but you know, that's what happens when you run low tier tanks, is you get into a lot of newer players. And I don't go down to low tiers just to seal club or you know, beat the snot out of people. Obviously the reason I was in lower tiers is so I can compare the guns on this and the gun on the KV1, because I get a lot of people asking me which tank is better. And the guns on them are both derp guns, and we'll go over we went over the kind of differences between them. To be honest with you, I've got more matches in the KV1, but the reason I have more matches in the KV1 is because before they did the tier split and they bumped them down to tier 5s, and I think it was the KV1-S. It was, God, I can't remember, to be honest with you. If this is the one that was like supposedly over, it was just a monster, and it still is. As you can see after that replay with the derp gun on this thing, it's a beast. But they were, or if I remember right, they used to be tier 6s, the KV1 and the KV1-S. But I can't remember how it worked. It's been a long time since they did the change of these, and I apologize. I don't know the exact specifications of the old, when they were, I believe it was, they were tier 6s, and then they bumped them down to tier 5s, gave them less hit points, less armor. Then they split them into a KV1-S and a KV1, and you know, they made some changes with them. So you know, a lot of people have asked me, well, which one's better now, the KV1-S or the KV1? So that's why I'm running down in tier 5 to show you these. So for this match, I did shoot all heat rounds, and you know, the problem when you don't have an AP round with a gun like this is you're limited to shooting strictly HE, so that you're not, you know, slinging premium rounds, but then you don't have a AP round to shoot. So when you have tanks in front of you that have any type of frontal armor, if you shoot an HE round at them, you're not gonna, you know, do a substantial amount of damage. Given, I believe I was top tier in this match, It doesn't show the tiers. I'm pretty sure I was top tier in this match, and I think I was top tank in this match also. But in order to know that I was going to be able to drive up, because the B1, if I would have hit that thing with an HE round in the front, it probably would have laughed at me. I would probably done 50 damage. The Hetzer got good frontal armor. It wouldn't have done much damage to him. The 14 TP, T80's got decent armor for a lower tier. So a couple of those tanks that I shot at, if I hit them with an HE round, it would have basically done really not much of anything. The heat round with this gives you just enough at 140 pen to really kind of whittle through those, frontal issues. It's basically the same gun, 122 U11. I wonder if it's the same gun. Oh no, it's definitely not the same gun. S41. See, this is a 122 millimeter howitzer. This one is actually a 122 U11. So it is a different gun. Basically, it's got the same specs or very close. You can select the 85 millimeter. A lot of people prefer that one because you have. Whoops, I don't want to purchase it. The rounds that you can use on that one are your AP or APCR for your premium or high explosive, but you don't have the high explosive round. Isn't like this where you've got chance to one shot stuff. Basically everything I did shoot, I did hit with heat rounds, and I did one shot literally everything I shot. But we hit the B1 for 268, finished him off. The P2640, he only had 16 hit points, and we finished him off. Him I could have hit with an HE round and just finished him off, but it was too late. I already had a heat round loaded. I wasn't going to switch in the middle and wait 8 seconds, I think it is. 9.21 seconds for it to reload. So we just hit him and knocked him out with 16 hit points left, knocked his engine out, bounced one of his rounds, and he did get hit for 167 upon me spotting him. We originally spotted him. Once I started pushing up the road, I could see that if I didn't take the lead and charge up the road, that the team was really not going to do much but sit there and just snipe, and we ended up losing anyways. And how I got 5 kills. I almost killed half the team, my enemy team myself, and then the rest of the team, well, like I said, it's low tiers, a lot of newer people playing tanks, so they just don't really know what to do. The Hetzer, we hit him for 270, finished him off, knocked out his driver. The SAV M43, I think we hit it. Oh, no, we just spotted him. He got hit for 81. The 14 TP, we hit him for 304, finished him off, and knocked out his gunner. And the T80, we hit him for 328, finished him off. That was a Master Badge Class 3, a fighter, and a fighter for effect. What's the hell is a duelist? The WN8 on that match was 3,349, so it was really a good WN8. We did the most damage at 1,186, and we got 5 kills with a base experience of 398 on a loss, which really sucked. We had 8 shots, 5 hit, 5 pen, 1,186 damage, 900 damage at a distance more than 300 meters. We got hit 7 times, 2 pen, 1 bounced, and we got hit with a bunch of splash damage from artillery 4 times, and we blocked 110 with our armor. We spotted 1, damaged 5, destroyed 5. Damage with our assistance was 248, and we lost 19,171 for shooting all heat rounds. Now, if I would have been bottom tier, I probably would have shot all HE rounds, and the reason behind that is because the heat rounds with 140 penetration, if we're shooting at, we can see up to tier 7. So let's say I'm shooting at a, T29 or something, it's got decent enough armor where a tier 5 is going to struggle. 140, I'd probably go through his front lower plate. I guess that's really not a good tier 7 to use for an example. So we'll just say any tank that has decent front armor, that's a tier 7 or even a tier 6, 140 pen is going to struggle to go through it. So when you you're going to run into that issue, then you can just basically run HE shells, and you might not do 450 damage, but you're at least going to do some damage. It might only be 15, but you might knock out his gunner, his driver, his loader. knock out his engine. Who knows? HE shells do some, you know, damage when it penetrates even partially. But at least you can chip away at them. The reload on this one is a little, no, actually I think it's the same. Reload 921. Oh, no, 979. So the KV1-S is a little bit longer load time. But I think out of the two, I prefer the KV1-S. I've just got more matches in the KV1 because it used to be, I believe, if I remember correctly, a tier higher until they split it into the KV1 and the KV1-S and dropped it down a tier and stuff. That's why I've got 264 battles in that. But I seem to prefer the KV1-S, even with a little bit longer load time. I think the armor's actually worse. Let's see. Well, you know what? We've already compared it, so I'm not gonna, you know, bore you with that. So, if you want to hold on for a minute, we will have another match for you in the KV1. So, if you want to hold on, I'll be right back. Alrighty, so here we are on Wide Park, and this time we are in the KV1. Now, what I like to try doing, when I rarely get this map, but what I like to try doing is hitting this corner up here, which is right here, and then shooting up to this corner and taking up a position up here because you can get shots down the railroad tracks, underneath the railroad tracks. Sometimes you're able to pop over and get shots at stuff that are on the corner back here, in between buildings. It's just a good position to take up. Unfortunately, again, my ping completely sucked, and I start getting some really bad lag. And you can see the difference in speed between the KV1 and the KV1-S. This one is substantially slower. I started getting a lag spike with here in a second. So what I was doing is I was going to stop here in the corner, aim, see if I can get any shots at anything, nothing. And then this Easy 8 was pissed that I stopped there and decided he was going to shoot me in the back of the turret like a jackass. What I was doing is getting out of the game. I go into Windows and make sure something's not running that's killing my ping. When you start getting those red lag marks, so I go to back up, and then he's just going to push into me while I'm backing up. Now, I could have shot him, and I would have one-shot him, basically. I would have killed him. Well, nah, he'd probably taken 2 shots, but I'm not an asshole. So what I figured I'd do is I would head up to where I planned on originally going. I thought I was going to get lucky and get some shots off here, but with HE shells and heat shells, you got to hit the target. If you hit anything, a tree, fence post, whatever, unfortunately, it'll eat the shell. Excuse me. Oh, so I did actually. I thought on this one the only damage I took was from the enema, or from the idiot on my team, but I did get hit by the M4 on the enemy team. Yeah, the 149 was from the butthole on my team right there. You can see where he shot me right in the back. Gotta love teammates that do that to you, you know. So I was going to go up here and back the OI up because, you know, for one, it's got a substantially long reload, and just you can get some really good shots off. But again, you can't shoot through fence posts, so on and so forth. So as I head up here, basically I was going to push forward until I get a shot over the hill, but then I started getting a ping lag spike, and I couldn't stop going forward. And he shoots me in the face, and it's not like I was even doing that on purpose. I mean, you can see I'm still going forward. And I take a shot real quick and then start backing up. So you could see I wasn't trying to push against him on purpose, because after he turned around and shot me in the face, my tank kept going forward. It wasn't like I, you know, tried to push him forward and then I was backing up real quick. I just kept going forward because I couldn't stop going forward. But he probably thought I was trying to retaliate from him shooting me in the ass, which I wasn't, but, you know, so what, whatever. Just, you get assholes like that on your team, and he sucks too. I looked up his stats, and he is, by far, he really needs to be working on his tanking ability before he goes around shooting friendlies. And then he's going to try pushing me, but my tank outweighs him, and I was just ignoring him. As you can see, I'm just aiming down at the railroad tracks. This is a good spot to get shots down there. And then I had to keep an eye on him to make sure that he didn't shoot me again or take my track off, and I got into an area where, something might tear me up. Thought I was going to get a shot there between the railroad tracks, the cars, and that KV1-S, but it hit the dirt. I was just trying to get some shots at it. Anything that, basically shots of opportunity. And then I kind of watched my mini-map, and I saw the OI going over, and I thought, oh crap, he's got a light and a medium there. Both of those tanks have a decent amount of health. He took out the light tank, but I figured I'm going to go help him get rid of this 3001. So we hit the 3001 with I believe it was an HE shell, and then I loaded an AP or a heat shell, finished him off, and then I was getting hit by the T150 and stuff on the corner, and now I'm loading an heat shell. I'm sorry. And we hit him for 370, and then I thought I loaded an HE shell, but apparently I did not. We got a critical hit on him. I think all I did was knock his track off. Wow, I thought I really loaded HE shells. Either this is a replay bug, or I completely forgot to load HE shells, because I could have swore I was loading HE. And I've had replay bugs do that before, where you're loading one type of round, but it shows you're loading a different. We'll see if I hit this thing here, because I should kill him in one shot if I hit him with a, well, not quite one shot. Now that round did fly like an HE shell. Yeah, see, that's derpage. No, that's a heat round. Okay, now the next shell I was going to shoot was HE. And we did finish him off with a heat round. So yeah, I left it on heat rounds a lot longer than I thought I did. Wow. Normally I'm good about taking it off heat, because I don't really like heat shells. I would way prefer to shoot HE shells over heat shells any day of the week, so I think I just completely forgot to take off the heat shell and load HE. So yeah, most of the damage I took was in the front and in the back from my teammate there, who was just such a stud. Yeah, gotta love players like that. But if you want to hold on for a minute, I'll be back with some post-game stats and some post-game stats. We'll go with that. So if you want to hold on for a minute, I'll be right back, guys. Well, that was an interesting battle. So off the bat, I was having a ping issue. That's why I stopped where I did on the corner there, because my ping shot way up. And when it does that, I get out of my, I can actually show you guys now that I got my system set up right here. So I go to the desktop, and what I do is I look in here to see if there's anything running in the background. Control, delete, go into here, task manager, and make sure something's not running in the background here that shouldn't be running. Because sometimes stuff will just up and start downloading for a driver, your Windows 10, even though I think I've got Windows stuff turned off. Anyway, so I'm sitting there, and Ash Jack on our team in the M4 shoots me in the back of the turret, I believe with an HE shell. Knocked out my driver, if I remember right. And I'm like, whatever, he's an asshole. But I ended up going up on the hill kind of where he was, and I was trying to help the OI get, because there was a bunch of, there's a couple light tanks, and I was trying to get some angled shots of stuff coming on the railroad tracks, so on and so forth. So when I was up there, I actually had him in front of me, and I didn't do it on purpose. You can watch, and you'll see a big lag spike, and I was pushing him. And then he shot me again, so I'm like, what a dick, whatever, But I tell you, you got to watch out for people like that. When he shot me right off the bat for no reason, I should have just steered clear of him, But that's the side I like to go on, because I can do a lot more damage over there. But we didn't even break 1,000, unfortunately. I did switch between HE and heat shells because that time we were not top tier. Still got a good WN8, 2,919, and our mark of excellence is almost 80% now with that. So that was Master Badge 2 and a Fire for Effect. We hit the T150 for 370 and knocked out his track. The P43 BIS, we hit him for 95, finished him off, knocked out his track. Upon us destroying the track, the T150 got hit for 12, and the P43 got hit for 337 upon us destroying his track. The VK30.01P, one of my favorite tanks. We hit him 2 times for 484. I actually think I shot him once with a HE shell and once with an AP shell, and we originally spotted him. KV1-S on the enemy team, we bounced one of his shells for 370. M4 on the enemy team, we spotted him, he got hit for 228, and the T67, we bounced one of his rounds for 110. So we did 4th most damage, and we got, oh, that's weird, 2nd highest experience. Must have been because I was really pushing hard towards the end or something, I don't know. Or because I was a lower tier shooting at higher tier tanks. That could be very well what it was too. But we did 949 damage, got 2 kills with a 729 base experience. We got hit, or we shot 11 shots, hit 6, pen 4. Total damage was 949. Distance of more than 300 meters was 95. We got hit 3 times, 0 penned, 2 bounced. All the damage I took was from my teammate there. Gotta love it. Hits received, oh, and artillery hit me too, I think. Splash damage was 1. Damage blocked by armor was 480. Damage caused to allies was 4, and I think that was when I bumped into the guy in the M4 that was shooting me. Enemy vehicle spotted was 1. We damaged 3, destroyed 2. Damage with our assistance was 577, and I did lose 28,000. I did get 32,624 extra credits from the idiot shooting me. Or I'm sorry, 2,648 from the idiot shooting me there, and I got fined 96 for bumping into him. And so we lost a total of 28,829, and that's the only real drawback when you're using a derp gun. If you do shoot your heat shells, they are expensive. Oh, I got food in this thing? I don't know why I would have had food in it. But, yeah, a heat shell on this is 4,800 credits, where an HE shell is only 257. So you're better off trying to shoot HE, and you can see I carry mainly HE. But this match I did alternate between both HE and heat, depending on what I was shooting at, how many hit points they had left, so on and so forth. Yeah, as you can see, like I told you earlier, the crew's almost identical. 60 and 70 across the board pretty much, except for let's see, the radio operator with 85, and the radio operator here's got 74. So the crews are almost identical, and the body styles, like I was saying, you can watch if you look at the hull of this one, the KV1-S, and you look at the KV1, they're almost identical. And the weak spot on the front of these, if you ever have one facing you, you're better off shooting at the I call it the mailbox, the driver's port right here, the machine gun port, or obviously the front lower plate. Now the KV1-S, the front lower plate is a little bit bigger, easier to hit, but again, it's the same thing, driver's port, machine gun port, or front lower plate. This one also has a nice commander's hatch that you can just pound the crap out of. The KV1 does not have that. So the KV1 turret is a little bit nicer not having the commander's hatch, but it is about the same too, isn't it? 75 in the front. The KV1 actually has a little bit better armor on the turret all the way around, but this has got a little bit nicer sloping, so it's a little, I think it's a little bit harder to pen the turret on this compared to this one, with the flat pieces right here. It does have a big chunk of, I would say, spaced armor right there, but it does not have that big Tuma up there, commander's hatch. So, but yeah, so anyways, that is a comparison, between the KV1-S and the KV1. So, you know, like I said, I prefer the KV1-S. The guns are almost identical. The reload, everything's almost identical. Armor, a lot, very close to the same, but the KV1 does have a little bit better turret armor. The hull armor is about the same. Yeah. So, Oh, wait a minute. Turret armor. Yeah, the turret armor on the KV1 is better. I'm sorry. And the hull armor is pretty much the same. And it's got the same body style. But I do prefer the KV1-S because it's got the bigger horsepower engine. You can get maneuver around a lot faster to reposition if you're trying to rush in. You just got that extra speed, which is really nice. But otherwise, they're pretty identical, guns and everything. The KV1 is a little more accurate, if I remember right. Yeah, 0.51 versus 0.54. So the KV1 is a little more accurate. You do have a little bit better gun depression and stuff with the KV1. But it's that engine with the extra oomph that really sells me more on the KV1S, because you can really get somewhere or get out of danger a lot faster, whereas in the KV1 it seems like you're, putt. But both, don't get me wrong, both of them are very good tanks, though. But yeah, so anyways, I hope that helped you guys, kind of pick and choose. Like I said about both these, this one's got 3 guns to choose from. The KV1 actually has a few more, I think. Yeah, it's actually got 1 more, so you got 1 more gun to pick from. And you can see with the 85 millimeter, average damage is 160, which is really nice. 12 rounds a minute, so it spits them out pretty quick. And your penetration is 120 on your standard, 161 on your premium. And your premium, if I remember right, is APC. Yeah, it's APCR. So the round gets there a lot quicker. And the KV1-S, 85 millimeter. I wonder if that's actually the same gun. 85 S31. Let's see if it's the same gun. No, one's the F30 and one's the S31. So they're actually probably almost identical. Penetration is a little bit lower on that, isn't it? 119, 159, 120, 161. Very, like one hit point, or 1 millimeter difference of penetration. That's no big deal. 12 rounds a minute. 12 rounds a minute on both, and your average damage is identical at 160. Kind of just wanted to go over that real quick, and 280 for your HE. Yeah, so guns are really comparably very close. Very, very close, and everything on the 85 millimeter. And your dirt gun is a lot very close too. But anyways, I hope that helped you guys. If it did, please click the like button down below. If it didn't, click the like button down below anyways. Anyways, you guys take it easy, be safe, and I will see you on the battlefield.